for close to 10 years now, actively. I've done it in, how do I say it now? I have done it without, I'm looking for the exact word, but I'll say professionally. Yes, without interruption. It's not without it being what is recognized beyond 10 years, but close to 10 years now, a registered NGO and everything in between. And today, when Onyeka, I'm going to be moving around, I hope that is okay. All right. So when Onyeka shared with me the theme and invited me to come for today's program, I was excited. I was especially excited because it has to do with the teenage girls, and I think that it is never too early to get it right on the path to your greatness. When you were formed in your mother's womb, there was already a plan for you, and there is no pleasure in finding out that plan later in life if you can find that out early. And that is why today, in my short time, I told you time is short, but I will maximize it. I am going to share with you 7 ways to become the girl for the job. We are talking about our time is now. We are talking about having a space and a seat at the table. We are talking about having a voice that is going to be recognized. We are talking about people becoming valuable, not because we are pitied, but because we are qualified. So what is going to make you the girl for the job? Because at the end of the day, you do not want to get to the space that your voice is supposed to be relevant and you are pitied into that space. You want to make sure that you are qualified for that space that you have gotten to. For instance, like Etobi Amusa, she was clearly qualified for the space that she has gotten into. And it took a bit of principles. Some of it I will be sharing with us. I can't share everything. It took a bit of principles time for you to move from that girl child who is dreaming to the girl who is going to accomplish and is going to deserve a seat at the table. We're talking about deserving a seat at the table and having a voice that is valued, that you qualify for, because if your time is going to be now, and if you are going to be able to deliver something tangible when your time is now, because your time can be now and you do not have anything to give. So we want a combination of girls, and that is my job here today, whose time will be now and they have something to offer. Have you not heard of, or have you not seen, well, I have seen, in case you haven't, where people are brought into the stage, or what we call brought into the limelight, and there is no preparation for the opportunity because they have just been shouting about wanting that opportunity, but they have not prepared for it. So what are the 7 ways that you can become that girl for the job? The girl that is going to be qualified, the girl that is going to hold her head up high, the girl that is going to make the change and be the change that she deserves to see in a nation. My first point is think. You have to think. Yes, you heard me right. Think. In today's day and age, unfortunately, and our chairman of today's occasion was speaking about the important part of the female's brain. In today's day and age, unfortunately, the social media network and the way it is built, if you are not intentional, which is going to be my second point, is going to paralyze that thinking part of you. It is impossible to be a relevant girl child who is going to be a female child if you are not thinking. You cannot be TikToking all 365 days of the week. You are not going to be relevant in that sense if you're not taking out time to creatively think. So the intelligent and wise question I'll be expecting is, so SAGENEL, like I've often called, what does it mean to think, or what does it entail to think? To be able to think, or to prove that you are thinking, one of the key things that you're going to have to be doing is asking questions. You are going to have to be asking active questions all around you. That is how to know that you are thinking. to challenge things, to live life beyond the status quo, you are going to ask questions, and that is the only way that you are going to know that you are thinking. Boys are needed, the males are needed, men are needed, but one of the reasons why the male gender continue or may have had the edge in the past few years is because this is something that they put into play. While the women were busy just feeling, a lot of men were busy thinking, and so it seemed as though they were the front runners or they were the forerunners, innovating things in their society, until women said, no, it's time for me to also put my idea on the table because it is important. So don't be a person who thinks asking questions is irrelevant, or who thinks asking questions is for those what they say, ethical, or so those people in front. I don't even believe those sort of people are here who are stereotyping students. Don't think that you have to ask questions. And asking questions is not just in your classroom, it's beyond your classroom. For instance, some days ago, I was asking how was kitchen invented? I ask questions all the time. I don't see kitchen. I was interested to know how was kitchen invented. And it's interesting to know that there's a small difference between kitchenette and kitchen. Now, when you think of these things and you research as a result of asking questions, these are the things that will make you intelligent on tables beyond your cleavage or all the other things that your body has to offer. You will not need to be striving or struggling to give your body to offer anything because your brain is working. This is a very important point because in today's day and age, there seems to be a lot of selling of body to want to prove a point. Even those that seem to have made it, there's just a lot of selling of body. And the question is that what you want to be remembered for? I hope that that's something you can take out, because I know that a lot of people, young people, are influenced by what they see in the media. But I want you to think and ask questions and challenge what you are being fed. You are not a specimen. You are a human being. You are a person with meaning. You are a person with value. Why should you just allow everything be dumped down on you without questioning it or asking questions? The second way to think is to read and to research. You have got to read and research, and just it's a future notice. Your education or your reading is not going to stop when you come out of school. You know the way people say, oh, when I come out of school, it's the last time. It's going to be the end. I will throw my books away. In fact, it's just going to get started when you come out of school. So the earlier you get into the habit and enjoyment of reading and researching in alignment with your field. I'm not saying if you're supposed to be a pharmacist, you should go and be a counselor. If you're supposed to be a nurse, you should go and be an air hostess. In line with your field, in line with what you are passionate about, even if it is music. Be an intelligent musician. When you speak, when you give us tunes, when you give us rhymes and reading, let us know that this came out of a place of thinking from this person. The musicians that we see today that drop deep lyrics is not by mistake. It's not because I'm a musician, I'm just vibing, as they go. No, they are busy thinking, and when they think it, they put those deep thoughts into melody that is spread out to the world, and people can resonate because there is depth in it. It's very important, and I'm not one to say, oh, if you don't live here with anything, I expect you to live here with everything. But this point of thinking, please do not take it for granted. And the final way to think is learn to observe and listen. Learn to observe and listen. I'm doing this to my head intentionally. You need to learn to observe and listen. As a trained and a professional counselor, that is one of the things that we have to do, although I already enjoy listening to people. But the thing is, if you are not really listening to a person or to a situation or at an event, you're not going to really be able to learn. It's just the truth. And listening, there's the passive listening, there's the active active listening. So for instance, I'm on radio every Friday by 7 p.m. I think I'll talk about that when I close out. By 7 p.m. And anytime I come on air, I encourage people to not be staring at Magna and doing all these things while listening. Because that's passive listening. You're not going to get it. You will think that you've gotten it, but you're going to forget. But active listening is paying attention in the posture, like what you are receiving matters a lot to where you are headed, because it does. Learn to observe. So you observe and you listen. The wisest and the wealthiest man that existed till death, wisest, wealthiest, that's King Solomon. One of the greatest ways that he learned was through observation. Like one translation says, he looked at the fields and the fields preached to him. Meaning there was always something to learn. It will tell you about the lizard. It will tell you about the fields. It will tell you about the man and woman. It will tell you about ants. There's nothing it will not tell you about if you studied that book. The question is, what else are you learning apart from your schoolwork? Are you paying attention? Are you listening and observing? The second point is intentionality. That's the second key point. The sub-point was under the first, which is think, and the second point is intentionality. Intentionality, to summarize it in the best way possible, is asking, how is what I am doing right now going to add to my life in the next 5 years? How is what I am doing right now, what I'm doing right now, how is it going to add to my life in the next 5 years, in the next 3 months, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years? How is what I'm doing right now going to add to my life? And so when you ask yourself that question, you don't need to be cajoled about whether you should have a boyfriend or you should not have a boyfriend. Are you ready to get married in the next 3 years? Are you ready to become your husband or your wife in secondary school? But the problem is, when you start dating now, what are you dating for? So it's not the way anyone, the teacher will be following you. Your head mistress, your head there, hey, stop it. Like, look, it's your life. We have a lot of single parenting cases. It's giving the mother's problem. Because at the end of the day, it's the mothers that will carry the burden. And that is why we cannot overhave girls' meeting. We cannot overhave ladies' meeting. It cannot be overemphasized. It cannot be too much. Because we have got to discuss these things and reiterate it. One of my relationship mentors will say, girls have access to the sex, men have access to marriage. What he's trying to say is, girls can put a stop to sex or they can give the go-ahead. So when most times the girl gets pregnant and say, I don't know, well, she has the power to put a stop to it, but she refused. And I'm telling you now that you have that power, and that power can be fueled by your intentionality. This is how to be the girl for the job. The women we have today from Nigeria, from Africa, representing us in the world, this is how they have lived their life. Have you not noticed that there was one person, I don't want to talk about all this, but there was a particular woman that assumed the role, and people started saying, she's told this, and then that's how this person was escorted out of it. Because when all of these things is not fully formed, it will come back to boomerang. It will affect you in one way or the other. The third point on how to, of course, we're still on the 7 ways to become the girl for the job, is purpose and destination. You have to be intentional about what your purpose is and where you are headed. Because what your purpose is and where you are headed is what is going to fuel the actions that you take today. The intentionality is in sync with the purpose and destination. Case in point, for instance, and I thank God for screens. Case in point, for instance, one of the core reasons, apart from my own core value is very important, but one of the core reasons why I chose not to have sex before marriage is it's not really because people were saying it, so it was popularly said. Number one, it was a decision, it was a core value that I had. Number two, I knew that my life had to do a lot with empowering women. And if I come here and I give you fluff, you are going to know. Because authenticity, it stems from the inside. You cannot buy it, you cannot pass it. So I knew that authenticity to my calling, to the lives of women, was important, and there were certain decisions I could not take for where I was headed. So what is your purpose and destination? It is not too early to find out what your purpose and destination is. And even whether you're Muslim or Christian, I want to believe, I think this is a popular story, the story of Mary and Jesus, Mary birthing Jesus. She got that purpose when she was a teenager. So it's not a big thing, small thing for some people, therefore if you know. You can achieve, you can find out what your purpose and destination is. And I've defined this in many ways in the books I've written, on YouTube, on radio, but I'll just give a summary here. Purpose comprises of using your gifts, talents, abilities, skills, personality, positioning, background, and everything you have been made up of in alignment with the Creator's plan for the mission you've been sent here on earth. So like I like to put it, you've been sent here for mission it's possible. That's your own mission. Mission it's possible. How are you going to carry out that mission? That is what we are going to remember you for. We're not going to remember you for the money you have in your bank account, all those other, even the clothes we won't remember. When we're talking about Mother Teresa this day, we just also know this is the shoe she was now wearing. It is what and how did she live out her mission. The fourth point is habits. And there have been many saying about habits. I want to assume that you've heard a bit about it. We are creatures of habits and so on and so forth. But the point of it all is that we cannot really become anything or any person that we want to become without creating habits around it. The question is, do you like who you are becoming or do you detest who you are becoming? That's a question I want us to take 30 seconds to think about. Do you think of who you are becoming? You know yourself beyond your teachers, beyond your parents, even beyond your friends. Think about it. Am I going to like who I'm becoming in the next 5 years?